Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Victoria's Wool Podcast. I'm Victoria. I'm a knitwear designer living in the Pacific Northwest. I live close to Seattle, and we are having a rainy, mostly cloudy fall day. It's the middle of October, and it's time to share another one of my designs. This one I published last year. I used Farmer's Daughter Fibers Craggy Tweed. So this is a, I think, heavy DK, light worsted weight, and I wanted to talk about it today because a few people have purchased it recently and kind of reminded me that it existed. It's sitting in my stash, and it's time to get it out and to start wearing it. So I wanted to design something that had a lot of layers, like it laid on itself really well, which this does, because I like the different textures of seed stitch and brioche. They go really well together mathematically. They just sort of fit into each other really well, and I like having the brioche kind of peek out a little bit more subtle with the oatmeal, and the elk antler is the color. Is that color? I think it's elk antler. And the pink, I believe, is dumpling. It's been a while since I've looked at the colors. I'll put the colors down in the show notes though. But yeah, it's cozy. You can fold it over if you want to. I kind of like the layered slouchy look myself. You could double it if you had a shorter neck or something and you wanted to shorten it up. It's also a really easy pattern to modify because you can make the seed stitch rows longer or shorter if you want to. Doesn't really matter. You can also do a variety of stitch counts. Somebody was asking me about wanting to make it a little wider. This is just me kind of having it and putting it on. Yeah, that looks good too. Then it's extra thick. Somebody wanted to make it a little wider if you had like a little bigger head than I do. Just as long as you add a multiple of 2 stitches, it doesn't matter. The pattern is that both patterns are a multiple of 2, so it makes it easy to edit and change. It's also reversible. Yeah, it's really cute. I used 3 skeins, 1 skein of each color, and I would recommend people just, picking colors that they love. I have a couple patterns that have like 3 colors in them, and people sometimes ask me about like pairing colors together. And I've definitely done color combining that I didn't necessarily love, so it does take practice if you feel like unsure about it. But I think with Meridian Lines, which is a pattern I just released last month, I also have like a dark color and then 2 lighter colors that both contrast with the dark color, but they don't really contrast with each other. And that's kind of what I did here too. I have the teal, this is York, and then it contrasts nicely with both of these. And then there's a little bit more of a subtle, but that has just like the subtle colors together too, because you're knitting them, so you're seeing it a lot. And then when you wear it, maybe it's not as visible, but you can still see. It. I like subtlety a little bit, maybe just as much as I like bold. Maybe I like it more than I like bold. I don't know. But I like the teal on the top. It also contrasts nicely with my skin tone, so that's probably why I choose that one. And then, yeah. I just want to be able to see multiple layers. So yeah, this is Meet Cute. It's a sort of a series with the Meet Cute original, which is a blanket shawl. It's a really big triangle, which I think maybe I'll talk about next week, that used 3 colors and used Steve Stitch to brioche transitions. And the brioche is super easy, so anybody that's like worried about learning how to do brioche, there's only 2 rows. Some brioche patterns have like multiple rows where you have to repeat 4 rows or something to get the brioche to, that's if you have to do it flat mostly. But in the round, it's just super easy and really fun. So you can find that on Ravelry and victoriaswool.com. And I did make some progress on my Glamper mittens finally. It happened really, really quickly, of course. I kept saying in the episodes, I don't understand why I'm so slow at making this pattern. It's just a little mitten. The stars, they're cute. The moon needs some help in blocking, and I think I need to, I made some mistakes, so I'm gonna have to duplicate stitch. The moon will hopefully look a little bit better once I've fixed it a little. But I did take the mountains out. I think I mentioned that last time. I used a DK weight yarn instead of a fingering weight yarn, so the mitten was gonna be too tall if I included the mountains, so I just went straight from trees to sky. And that worked out okay, I think. Yeah. This is going to be the thumb. I still haven't done the thumb. I'm doing this pattern with a couple friends. We're doing a cowl together, and I don't think any of us have done the thumb. The other 2 gals have both, I think, finished their mittens, but need to do the thumb. So I'm trying to catch up, and then maybe we'll all do the thumb together. Hello. That's so cute. I cast that off, and then I immediately started number 2. So here's my little gummy bear progress keeper, which I think came from Sucre Miniatures. It's been a while. I have a green one too. I really like them. They're super adorable. The flower looks good. The little pathway looks good. This is the thumb for the backside. I don't think I've made any mistakes on this one so far. Maybe I have and I just forgot. But there's definitely like 5 mistakes in here. That's the cool thing about color work, is that you can take a little bit of the color you want the stitch to be and you can cover it up. And if that's confusing, you can always look up duplicate stitch color and color work on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find a video on what that looks like. But you're like making a V. Like, I'll show you where it is. And at the same time that I'm going to show you, I'm also going to say that mistakes don't matter. They're really okay. But that little, like, should be all vertical lines, and right there I did a white, and so I'm going to take a little bit of black thread, and on the V I'm going to lay black yarn over that white V, and it'll hopefully disappear, especially with blocking. I should do it before I block so that the little bits of yarn can kind of get wiggled in and attached to the rest of the yarn on the mitten. So they're super cute, and I'm looking forward to wearing them. I finished this and cast on this one on Monday, and then immediately I picked up the design project I'm working on. This is the swatch for it. I've showed this before. The light might be too bright. It's a subtle cable, so if it's not coming across super clearly, that's because the yarn is very textured. It looks really good in person, and I know that on the last video the lighting showed it really well too, so I'm not concerned about that at all. This is a swatch. It's way too big for my hand. What I've been doing this week is playing around with the ribbing. I have a couple other little bits of things that I tried. I tried to see if I could get the same kind of texture in a 1x1 rib and do the cable and the ribbing, and I did a little thumb. I think I showed this last time too. I did a little thumb cable, which doesn't come across on camera right now. Kind of. Basically what I decided is I like this 2x2 cable. There we go. This is a 2x2 rib that has a cable in between, and it does require a 12 stitch repeat, so I'm going to have to be like a little bit finicky on either side to make it work for the different sizes. I'm hoping to do 3 to 5 sizes because it's not that difficult to, once you have all the numbers for one, just to grade above and below. I kind of have like, I don't have a medium sized hand necessarily, but hand circumference I have a medium size, so it's nice to, I can just grade up for her bigger hands than me and down for smaller hands than me. And I'm trying to work out my gauge. I want it to be as accurate as possible, so I am swatching again just in stockinette to make sure that the size that I think should fit medium sized hands fits me, and that will give me more confidence in my grading. This is like a extra large size, and yeah, it fits my thumb in there and everything. I think it'll be cute, but yeah, so I haven't made as much progress on it as I would have liked. It's hard for me initially with designs to get motivated to work all those little details out. It's kind of what's the word? There's just so many unknowns. I did sort of start a new method, a journal method of trying to like write really intense notes so that I can think not just in my head but on paper, and then I can like come to the conclusions I need to move the progress forward instead of just thinking about all the things in my mind and kind of getting overwhelmed. And I know that that will help, and it has been helpful. And I'm also getting a little bit better at just spending a lot more time experimenting, like all these little bits and stuff, like, oh, well, why don't I try this, and why don't I try this, and see if that works, and see if that works with this yarn, and the stitch counts, and all that kind of stuff. Because it's such a small piece, it's less scary to like rip stuff out and try again. And this yarn is really loosely plied together and sort of not very tightly spun, and so when I block it, it expands a lot, which is why this is so big. That's sort of what I'm playing with. And that's part of it, you know, you are paying for a pattern so that somebody does all this work, so you don't have to. That's what you're paying a pattern designer to do. So but yeah, I've made some good progress today. One of the things that I wanted to do on my podcast is just talk about yarns. I'm not buying yarns right now, and if you're new, you haven't heard me talk about my yarn fast, I guess. I haven't really called it that, but I hear other people call it that. Sort of what it is. It's like a whole year. I think I have, how many days do I have left? 2 plus 6, so 8 days left. And it'll be done 10 days. 10 days left until 10 days to a year mark since I last bought yarn. I bought yarn on October 31st, and I bought, I believe, I don't think I can say that yarn name in French. It's a French yarn. But I bought it from Jess at La Mercerie on October 31st, 2020. And I haven't bought any yarn since then. Right, and a lot of people on podcasts talk about the yarn they purchased recently, which is super fun, and also, you know, hard not to want to buy that yarn when you see it. So I guess this podcast can be really helpful for people who don't want to buy yarn, because I'm not like pushing yarns too much. But I did want to highlight my stash, and I feel like that's kind of goes along with not buying yarn, is really valuing what you already have. And I have a lot. As you can see, this is not the only, this is like a 3 foot, a little bit over a 3 foot shelf with yarn on top. And it goes from here, just like right here is the shelf, and it goes to just out of frame right here. So it's not that big, but there's a whole other one in the other room that's much taller, that has yarn in bags. Not this much, maybe like half of this. And then it has all my finished projects. and books. So it's not full. It's like twice the size of this, but so maybe I have double this total, because then I also have one of those really, really big blanket size Ziploc bags. Have you ever seen those? You can put like blankets in them when you store them. That is full of all the really, really old stuff from like the early 2000s when I was first buying yarn. I worked at a store that sold, a pharmacy that sold yarn, and so I was buying a lot of Cascade and Malabrigo, and it's mostly that. And those yarns are really useful still for gifts. And I have, there's yarn in those bags that I could knit projects and designs out of too. But anyway, I have lots. So I wanted to talk about Scout. Let me show you the gold one. Scout is a yarn from Kelbourne Woolens. It's a company based in the United States. I believe they're in the Midwest. The yarn is made in Peru. This one, at least this one in particular. I'm not sure about all their yarns. But it is 100% wool. It's a DK weight. I think it's 2-ply. This is called Sunflower Heather. They just came out with a yarn called Camper. That's the same kind of yarn, but spun to be fingering weight. That's hard to say. And I haven't used this gold. I think I have 3 gold. I'm using it for the mittens. For that, I'm using the charcoal heather, which I love. This is a really, really great black color. It's not black, and there's like, it's a heather, so there's just little hints of white in it, which is really nice. And I'm using it with the oatmeal heather, which I think is my favorite oatmeal that I've ever purchased. I'm like obsessed with oatmeals and off-whites. I don't have a super ton, but there's a part of me that really just wants sweaters in this color, although I never want to knit them because it's kind of, boring not having a lot of color in it. But this is like the perfect shade of oatmeal, and that's why they go so well together. And then the only other color I have is what's this one called? Teal Heather. Yeah, it's a really nice one. I used this and the oatmeal heather together for my Eagle Eye colorwork Mobius cowl from earlier this year that I will wear sometime on here. I like this yarn a lot, specifically because it's very soft. It's very nice to knit with. It feels like it has a substance to it. It is a DK, but it just has a nice texture. It's a woolier yarn, but it's just really, really, really soft. And I should knit a hat in it. It doesn't have, the colors are nice. They don't have a lot of colors. There's maybe like 10. Some of them are this is totally in my color wheelhouse. I wish there was more moody colors, I guess. But yeah, I like this yarn a lot. Talked about my yarn fast. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to share, which is this funny story that happened, I guess like a couple months ago now. I meant to tell the story right away when it happened. But a friend of mine was saying to me how she's about to turn 38. And I was like, no, I'm about to turn 38. You're 10 months older than me. And so you're going to turn 39. And we were like, no. We were kind of like back and forth about it. Like, no, I'm right. You're right. I'm right. No, I'm right. So we did the math on paper because I like need to see physical evidence of it. And it looked like she was going to be correct. And so I just wanted to double check. So I went online, and you can find all kinds of things on the internet. Like, for example, how I was born on this day, how old am I now? And there are actually little converter things, mathematical buttons you can push that will tell you how old you are. And my birthday is in a few days. I'll be turning 37. And at the time of this this incident happened, I'm still 36 now, but I had a couple months, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am 36 years old. I had no idea. It was like, it was like going back in time a little bit. I was so excited to it didn't feel like I just got a year back. I felt like I got 2 years back, because, and why this happened is that about halfway through the year, I start considering myself to be the next age that I'm going to turn. So about April, I start thinking, oh, I'm going to be 38 now. Real soon, you know, in like 6 months, I'm going to be 38. So I start telling people I'm 38. They start asking me how old I am, and I say 38. So at some point, I did that halfway through the year. And then when the birthday came, I jumped again. And I don't know when it happened, because I kind of remember having birthdays I remember turning 37 and 36 and 35 and 34 and all that. And so I did it some point. Maybe I did it this year. But I definitely turned 36 last year. But I thought I was turning 37. I remember that. I'm like, I'm 37. So I must have done it maybe last year, around April or something. So I feel like I was like so excited. My friend was like, man, I'm still turning 38. So that was really funny. And I wanted to know, and so basically anyone that I tell the story to, I ask, has that ever happened to you, that you just forget how old you are, you have to figure it out, and like at some point we stop caring and stop paying so much attention. And yeah, I just wondered if that happened to you. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week hopefully with some more progress on some things, and happy knitting.